All right, can we welcome these guys back from India? Guys, welcome back. Now, for those of you who might be visiting, this is Ben. This is Craig, who functions as like the team leader. And that's Caleb, who has been doing a lot for us today, leading us in worship and now doing an interview. So he's time and a half right now. But anyway, we're grateful for these guys and how they have a burden to see the gospel go forth and willing to take upon, great sacrifices themselves to be able to go and serve in this capacity. But Craig, I was wondering if you could kind of give us just an overview of what you guys did on this trip.
We did 9 medical camps in 6 days. We treated 2,500 people. We started off doing a few camps in the inner city slums where they have ministry to slum children. And then we went to the rural areas, to the mountains where they've never been in this area before. And there's a lot of tribal people groups up there. So it was a blessing to serve them in so many different regions. We've never traveled so much. We did like 72 hours of travel, including flying, rickshaw rides, bus rides, motorcycle rides. And so we're a little bit weary from it, but it was a blessing to be a part of that.
That's great. Now, for Ben and for Caleb, this was their first time going on one of these medical trips. So I was wondering if you guys wouldn't mind just kind of communicating for you, being new at this, what your experience was.
I had a great experience. I'm sure I can speak for Caleb as well. I'd never even been out of the country before, honestly, so gonna do it right, I guess. Third world country, first time, but actually, even though it was unsanitary environments in a poor area, I had a great time. The people were very friendly out there, and they were very appreciative of the care that we had brought to them, which would have made them more receptive to the gospel, even if it was someone we couldn't treat, just giving them vitamins. They were just happy for something like that, So.
It's good. Caleb?
Well, I'm pretty much in the same boat as Ben, except I have no medical experience. So I really had no idea really what I was going to do when I was over there. And but it's my first time out of the country, and I really didn't know what to expect. My dad, having been to India many times, he told me that it would be like stepping into the book of Acts, and that's really what it was. It was really cool to see the scriptures come alive, and you look around and the people are extremely friendly. That was one of the things that really caught my attention. Was like I had a certain image of the people in my mind, and God completely shattered that, and it was amazing.
That's very cool. Craig, how about for you? In what ways was this trip different than other trips you've gone on? Craig has been on, I believe, 6. This was your 6th trip, but in what ways was this trip similar, and in what ways was it different than ones you've done previously?
This is one of the best trips I've been on. The people on the team really make it so full of grace, so much fun. People like Caleb and Ben who are adaptable, flexible, just go with it, whatever happens, because in India it's pretty much hurry up and wait, and you never know what's going to happen next. So if you have an agenda, you just have to throw that out the window. So it's neat to see what God does. And the fact that we went to 3 areas, it's never been done before, at least with Sovereign Grace. And that's exciting, just to hit all different regions where they're really trying to reach out to different types of people groups and to play a small role in that, because the gospel really goes forward from now on. We already hear reports that pastors are making inroads to these areas where we were there to bless them medically, but it opens the door for the gospel to go forward. They trust them now. They're listening to what they have to say. We just try to pray over them and just show them God's love, and that, this isn't just us. It's not just medicine. It's what, the Lord wants to touch their hearts. So the work's being done right now. So we're excited.
Amen. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what ways you saw God using this trip, even, right away to create opportunities for the gospel to go forward? With these trips, a lot of it is sort of breaking up the hard ground, and then people coming behind them and sowing the seed of the gospel, and we see churches being planted as a result. But even during the trips, you can see the gospel going forth in different ways. But I don't know if you guys had any experiences or anything you could share with us along those lines.
Well, that was just the reports from Wilson. I mean, he was saying about the last camps. I noticed every time Craig or the other doctors would see a patient, they pray over them. And I'm thinking, well, that's nice of them to do that. But, I mean, it really goes a lot further, because Wilson was saying from the previous camps, people had been healed just because of them laying hands on these patients. And I imagine that was the case for this camp as well. You know, it's, again, like him saying, going back to this being like the New Testament all over again, miraculous healings and stuff like that going on.
Well, in talking to these people and you know, just really being able to see, they're very genuine, and that was something that really struck me about them. And just being able Craig and I learned some of the language, and we were able to, you know, just have a very small conversation with them. And it was just great being able to cross that barrier, and you know, just having a taste of what it's like to really just try to you know, speak into their lives, even in small ways. It's the small ways that God uses, and well, it's amazing how He uses them. And you know, just taking a picture of, you know, the kids and showing them, they think it's the greatest thing, and they have a lot of fun with that. And you know, just blowing bubbles with them, and you see the joy that they have, and being able to provide for a need that they have. You know, that many of them have never seen a doctor before, and being able to provide for something like that, you know, just really, I think, shows them, you know, what we were all about. Because I know the team was great. They had a lot of joy in serving, and that was a blessing too. I know Craig and Ben as well, and I think that, you know, God was able to use us in great ways.
Caleb did a great job leading worship for the team and doing devotions. A lot of times I was on the bus, so he's playing his guitar on the bus while we're going from place to place. And our pastor who led the team, Steve Bickle, did a great job just keeping us focused on the gospel every day. So if most of the time people are grateful, but if they weren't, it reminds us that, you know, our attitude towards God, we weren't grateful to Him, and He rescued us in the midst of our sin. And just to play a role of being, you know, understanding that, hey, it's unconditional love that you're showing somebody, just like God did to us. And when we pray to them, we'll say, look, it's not just one of your 33 million Hindu gods. It's not the animist gods. It's Jesus. So we would make it very clear, you know, we're asking Jesus to help you. So we're waiting to see what reports come out of that. You know, as far as physical things, the other doctor on the team, he drained someone's knee. He had a cyst, and he holds up a syringe full of fluid. And he goes, I got the first body fluids. And we're like, okay, we didn't know it was a contest. But the lady was so amazed because she saw the relief of her problem right away, you know. And we had a couple wounds like that we could fix, and there's immediate results. But we're just trusting God for the, you know, deeper work long term.
Yeah, that draining cyst is both gross and cool all at the same time. The gospel going forward. There's got to be some sort of analogy of sin in there, I would think, though. But how would you, Craig, you know, since you've been on many of these trips, how would you say the opportunity to communicate the gospel to the people that you served in India, how would that differ, just their receptiveness compared to maybe here in the United States? What differences would you see? And guys, feel free to chime in on that as well.
I think they're more open. They see a desperate need physically. I think they feel the void spiritually, where Hinduism doesn't fill that void. They have to appease gods. They have shrines all along the roads. We saw those. They offer food offerings to these false gods to try to gain their protection and their favor. And I think they're open to a God that they don't have to appease. That's been done for them. And you know, every time we ask them, can we pray for you? You know, in America, you might get people saying, nah, I don't need that, whatever. No one turned us down, not a soul. So that was encouraging.
Amen. You guys have anything you'd like to add?
Covered it well.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, great. Now, what would you say, like tonight we have our medical missions interest meeting, and it could be easy, like for people in their mind to feel like, what role can I play? I'm not a medical person, but obviously it didn't stop you, Caleb, having no medical background, but what would you say to someone who might be thinking like, this sounds very cool, but I'm not sure how I could be used or whatever? What would maybe you would say to encourage them?
I would say that if you have a heart, then God will use you, because really, I really didn't have any skills in anything really. I was an assistant to our dentist first day, and then I directed people for most of the time, and then worked in the pharmacy. And really, you'll be able to do something, really, no matter what you think you can or can't do.
That's good.
Yeah, I actually benefited a lot from the non-medical people. I was just like the medical people on the team with Caleb and the two other guys that were just doing logistics and crowd control. It made just the flow easier for Craig and I and everyone else that was doing the medical portion of it. So there's definitely as much of a need on every trip to have non-medical people there as well,
I just want to say that anyone who does security or police officer, firefighter work, you're needed, because we have guys who really just direct the whole flow of the camps. And we relied on the people who were non-medical as much as the medical people. And this trip in particular, usually you get a lot of people, hey, I want to go, but they don't have any medical experience. This trip we had a lot of doctors and nurses right away. We needed all the other people. So people who have a business mind or administrative gift, and big guys that do security, it's welcome. So
That's good. Now, again, we're just excited too. I think it was back in, was it 2008? They did a medical missions trip to India, and a lot of amazing things happened. But what was more amazing is that here, just a few years later, we hear that as a result of that trip, that 33 churches were planted as a result of the efforts that took place. And our prayer is that this trip would yield the same fruit or even more fruit, that this trip that they just spent, a week of just showing kindness and the love of Jesus to these people, that would break up ground, that would result in churches being planted. That's what we desire. That's what we want to be a part of as a church. And there's this unique opportunity that we have here in Joppa, little old Joppa, Maryland, to be able to have an impact on a group of people that we might never see until heaven. But to be able to plant churches and serve them in that way is just incredible. Guys, thank you for your participation. Thank you for letting us interview you and hear a little bit about your experience. Appreciate you guys so much. Can we thank these guys for sharing? Thanks, guys. Thanks again.